Hello everyone, welcome to this quick tutorial on how you can try and fix the network related or instance specific error. This is an error that quite frequently occurs when services are trying to connect to a database and are unable to due to some kind of network error. The error itself is quite generic, so we're going to go through a couple of the steps that you can take to try and fix the issue. To start, we'll take a look at our services. Now, the first thing you want to make sure is that the services that are currently trying to connect to your database are stopped, just to make sure that they're not conflicting with anything. So in our case, that would be both the Lansweeper service, so we're stopping that, and also we have a web service that is connecting to our database, so we're stopping our IIS Express service as well. Then next, we're going to take a look at our SQL Server services, making sure that they are running and that they are actually configured to start automatically. So that would be the SQL Server service. That's right here. We can see that it is running. It is set to automatic, which is good. And then also the SQL Server browser, which is currently disabled. So we'll start by actually enabling that. So that's startup type. Let's put it to automatic, hit apply, and then OK. And then just to make sure that it's also running at the moment, we'll start it as well. There we go. So next up, we're going to take a look at our database itself. So I'm going to close the services and fire up SQL Server Management Studio. So we'll connect to our SQL Server instance. And then we're going to take a look at the settings. And then we're going to take a look at security. And what we want to make sure is that our server authentication mode is set to the bottom one, which is SQL Server and Windows authentication mode. And then after this, just to be sure, we're going to restart the instance. We're going to right click and click on restart. Next up, if the service or the web service is on a different machine and you need to allow remote connection to the instance, make sure that remote connection is allowed. So that will be again in the properties. Then you go to connection, and then at the bottom here under remote server connections, make sure that allow remote connection to the server is checked, and then again hit OK to enter that value. Next up, we'll need to open the SQL Server Configuration Manager. Easiest way to do this is just to go to your start bar, hit run. So there we hit the run button, and then what we want to enter is this command that you'll see on screen. The number at the end here, the 14, will be based on the SQL Server version that you have. As you can see here at the top, our SQL Server version is 14. So that's also why the command itself is SQL Server Manager 14.msc. So now we have this open. The two things we want to take a look at is named pipes and TCP IP. We want to make sure that both of them are enabled. So we're going to enable named pipes here first. Hit OK. Following that, we're going to take a look at the properties of TCP IP and just make sure that here under the IP addresses that they're all enabled. So active, yes, enabled, yes. And here is one that's active, yes, enabled, no. So we'll make sure that that one is enabled. And then here again, yes, yes. Okay, that seems fine. Make sure to apply, yes, and hit OK. Then we're going to move to SQL Server services, and then make sure that we're going to restart our SQL Server real quick. So right click it and hit restart. And that will restart the services. Then next up, it's best to check if SQL Server traffic is allowed through your firewall. So be sure to double check if TCP port 1433 is allowed through your firewall. That's the most used port for SQL Server and sending traffic to other sources. Then once you've done that, you can head over to the Lansweeper folder, where we'll go into the tools folder, and that's where we'll find the config editor. What you want to make sure to do is verify that your data source is identical to your SQL Server instance name. So here we see it's localhost, which is not identical to our tscw10 name that we have right here. So we're actually going to adjust that so that it is identical. There we go. Hit save, and then make sure to hit just save configs and restart service. Okay, so now that our services have restarted, we're going to click OK. We can close this, and now your Lansweeper should be connected back to your database, and you can continue to scan your network as usual. Thank you for watching this quick how-to on how to fix your instance error. If you want to find out more about Lansweeper, take a look at the following videos.